During a family vacation, my husband's parents made me sit at a separate table. No one spoke to me the whole trip. When I asked Mark, he just shrugged and said, "It's just their way." I smiled and said, "Well, I have my own way too." The next morning, I realized things weren't going to change. The little comments, the cold looks, and how I was always treated as an afterthought in my marriage had always been there. But I ignored it because I loved Mark. I thought things would get better if I kept trying. They didn't. What was supposed to be a relaxing trip to Hilton Head, South Carolina, quickly turned into something else. The resort was beautiful, like something out of a travel magazine, but things with Mark's parents didn't improve. The first night, we went to a nice restaurant, and when I went to sit next to Mark, his dad, Richard, said, "There must be a mistake. She needs her own table." I was confused and asked, "Excuse me?" Susan, his mom, didn't even look up. "It's just how we do things," she said. Mark didn't stand up for me. He just sighed and said, "It's just their way." So I sat alone, thinking it was a one-time thing. But it wasn't. The next morning, I went down to breakfast, expecting to join them. I couldn't find them. I texted Mark, but got no response. Eventually, I found them already sitting at a big table, chatting like everything was fine. I asked, "Why didn't you tell me you were coming down?" Richard barely looked at me and said, "We assumed you'd figure it out." Susan just sipped her coffee and said, "It's just how we do things." Mark acted like this was all normal. That's when I realized I was never part of their family. Mark wasn't on my side. From then on, I sat alone for every meal, and every time they did something fun, I was left out. They even went on a private boat tour and didn't tell me. I found out when I saw their photos on Instagram. They had a fancy wine tasting, and I only learned about it when I saw them dressed up heading out. I asked Mark about it, and his response was always the same. "It's just their way." By the fourth day, I gave up. If they wanted me to be invisible, fine. But I had a plan. That night, while they were out celebrating, I went back to my hotel room. I pulled up my email and started canceling everything. The hotel? Canceled. The rental car? Gone. The dinner reservations? All wiped out. I even called the spa and canceled Susan's appointment. Then I packed my bags, took the rental car, and left. While they were enjoying their perfect vacation, I was driving to Charleston. I booked a luxury suite, ordered room service, and relaxed on my balcony, finally at peace. The next morning, I woke up feeling refreshed. Then my phone started buzzing. Mark, then Susan, then Richard. I turned my phone on silent and smiled. They finally noticed. I imagined the moment they realized what had happened. Richard waking up to a hotel manager at his door. Susan checking her phone and seeing all the cancellations. Mark, confused, hearing his mom yelling at the staff. They had no hotel, no car, and no plans. I checked my messages later. Mark was furious, asking where I was and demanding I fix things. I picked up the phone just for fun. "Where are you?" he demanded. "Charleston." "Charleston? What are you doing there?" "Enjoying my silence." Mark asked if I realized what I'd done. I said yes. He said I'd stranded them. I replied, "Oh no, that must be so uncomfortable." Mark asked me to come back, but I laughed and said, "No, Mark, I really don't." Later, I found out how badly things went for them. They had to find a dingy motel, had no rental car, and paid high prices for Ubers. Their fancy dinner was fully booked. Susan had a tantrum at the spa. Mark sent angry texts later. Mom's furious. She was humiliated at the spa. Dad is losing it over the restaurant. I hope you're happy. I thought that would be the worst of it. Just a little inconvenience, a taste of their own medicine. But then, something interesting happened. A few hours later, my phone buzzed again. It wasn't Mark this time. It was a message from Sarah, Mark's cousin. "Sarah, hey, I heard what happened. Honestly, good for you." I raised an eyebrow, rereading the message. Sarah and I had always gotten along, but she wasn't exactly someone I shared personal stuff with. Me? Wait, what do you mean? Her reply made my stomach drop. "Sarah, they did the same thing to Mark's ex-wife." I sat up straight. Mark's ex-wife? He always said they grew apart, that their marriage just didn't work. I never questioned it, but now. Me? What do you mean? Sarah, she went on a family trip with them once. They treated her terribly, ignored her, made her sit at a separate table, and acted like she wasn't there. She left halfway through and filed for divorce a month later. My heart raced. Sarah, I didn't say anything before because I thought you knew, but seeing what they did to you, I realized he never told you, did he? Me? No, he didn't. If he had, I wouldn't have come on this trip. I would have known this wasn't just their way. This was their pattern. And Mark, he knew what was going on, and he let it happen. That night, Mark called again. I picked up. Mark, I need you to fix this. He sounded frustrated. Me? No, you don't understand. Mark, I understand perfectly. I interrupted him. Me? This wasn't about traditions. This was about control. You knew what they were going to do, and you let it happen. Silence. Mark, then who told you that? Me, bingo. I laughed. Mark, so it's true? Silence. Mark, look, my parents can be difficult, but they mean well. Me, Mark, they don't even see me as part of the family. He hesitated. That's when I knew he wasn't going to fight for me. Mark, come back. Me? No. I said it calmly. Me? I think I've already fixed it. I hung up. Afterward, I sat there, staring at my phone, feeling furious. Mark had known all along. He had seen this happen before, and he still let me walk straight into it. But something else gnawed at me. If he'd lied about Rachel, what else had he lied about? I decided to do some digging. I searched Facebook for Mark's ex-wife, Rachel. I had never thought to look her up before, but now I needed answers. Her profile was private, but I found her sister, Lauren, and clicked on a post from 2 years ago, right after Rachel and Mark split. Lauren, never let a man's family destroy you. Never let them convince you you're less than you are. My sister deserved better. We all tried to warn her. Never again. I felt sick. I kept scrolling and found an old comment from Sarah. Sarah, I wish she had listened to us. At least she's free now. Lauren, listen to them. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. I didn't know what to do. Should I message Lauren and ask what really happened? Was I ready for the truth? After a long pause, I took a deep breath and typed. Me. Hey, this is going to sound random, but I think we need to talk. Lauren responded right away. Lauren, I was wondering when you'd reach out. That hit me like a punch. Me, so you know who I am. Lauren, yeah, we've been waiting for this to happen. I froze, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Me, what do you mean? Lauren, Rachel wasn't the first, and she sure wasn't the last. My breath caught. Me, what are you saying? Lauren, Mark has done this before, more than once. His parents have done this before, more than once, and if you're talking to me right now, I'm guessing you've just gone through it too. I felt nauseous. This wasn't just a weird family tradition. It was a game. Mark and his family did this to every woman he brought into his life. They didn't see his partners as family, they saw them as obstacles. And Mark had let it happen every time. Me, why didn't anyone tell me? Lauren, we tried, but Mark always makes sure his girlfriends stay isolated. He tells them his family just has quirks or traditions. He keeps them from asking too many questions. Did he ever tell you Rachel was the problem? I closed my eyes. He had. He painted Rachel as the one who couldn't get along with his family, who made drama out of nothing. But now I knew the truth. Rachel hadn't been dramatic. She'd been trapped. And now, so had I. I couldn't sleep that night. The realization that I'd wasted years with this man burned in my chest. But something else was nagging at me. Why had Mark called me so many times today? Why was he desperate? At 6:00 a.m., I got my answer. A text popped up from an unknown number. Unknown, Mom, this is Officer Daniels with the Hilton Head Police. We need to speak with you about a missing persons report filed by your husband. I sat up fast, nearly knocking my phone over. Me, missing persons report? I immediately called back. When the officer answered, I blurted out. Me, I'm fine. I'm not missing. Officer, ma'am, are you saying you left voluntarily? Me, yes. I left on my own. My husband knows exactly where I am. He's been calling nonstop. The officer sighed. Officer, your husband reported that you left without explanation and haven't been answering his calls. He said he was concerned for your safety. I clenched my jaw. This wasn't concern. It was control. Mark wasn't worried about me. He was trying to force me back. Me, I am fine. I'm in Charleston. I left Hilton Head by choice. I'm not missing, and I do not want my husband contacting me. Officer, would you like to file a formal request for no further contact? I hesitated. Then finally, I exhaled. Me, yes, I would. That was it. The first legal step to ending my marriage. Not long after, my phone buzzed again. It was a message from Susan. Susan, I can't believe you would humiliate us like this. I laughed. I ignored it. Then another message came. Susan, you made Mark involve the police. Do you have any idea how this looks? Oh, I made Mark involve the police. I rolled my eyes and took another sip of my coffee. Then the messages kept coming. Susan, this scammy has done nothing but try to welcome you. Susan, you're being selfish. Susan, you need to come back and fix this. Susan, if you don't come back, Mark is going to make things very difficult for you. I froze. It wasn't even subtle. It was a threat. I stared at the text, rereading it. This wasn't just about control anymore. This was a fight, and I was supposed to give up. But I wouldn't. Not this time. I cracked my knuckles, took a deep breath, and sent one simple message. Me? Perfect. Let's make things difficult then. Then I booked a conference room in Charleston and invited everyone. Mark, his parents, and Sarah. If they wanted a war, I'd give them one. The next morning, I sat in the conference room, waiting. The table was long and empty except for some water bottles and the heavy silence. I didn't have to wait long. The door slammed open, and Mark stormed in first, his jaws so tight I thought his teeth might break. His parents followed, with Susan's heels clicking sharply and Richard's face already red from anger. Sarah came in last, looking unsure, her arms crossed. She nodded at me, but I didn't know if she was here to help, witness, or just watch the drama unfold. I leaned back in my chair. Glad you could all make it, I said. Mark snapped. What the hell is this? I smiled slowly. A conversation. You've been wanting to talk, so let's talk. Richard scoffed, arms crossed. You think this is funny? No, I replied calmly. I think it's pathetic. You play these sick games with the women in your family, and you finally picked the wrong one. Susan narrowed her eyes. You abandoned us. I laughed. Oh, I abandoned you. That's rich, coming from the people who spent an entire vacation pretending I wasn't there. Mark exhaled, gripping the back of a chair. You're blowing this out of proportion. That was it. That was the moment. I slammed my hands on the table, making Susan flinch. I am your wife. My voice echoed, cold and sharp. Not some stranger. Not an outsider. I am your wife, and you let them treat me like nothing. And you? I pointed at Mark. You knew this wasn't the first time. You knew exactly what was happening, and you let it happen anyway. His face turned pale. Susan quickly cut in with a high-pitched voice. We were just following tradition. I shot back. It's not tradition. It's control. It's a test, and you fail every woman who enters this family. Mark shook his head. You're overreacting. I grabbed my phone, pulled up the messages from Lauren, and threw it onto the table. Read it. He hesitated. Read it. Slowly, Mark picked up the phone and scrolled. I watched as his face tightened with every word. Then he threw the phone down like it burned him. This isn't proof of anything. Richard crossed his arms. You're digging up old stories. It has nothing to do with us. I turned to Susan. Is that right? Because last night you sent me a message threatening me. You told me if I didn't come back, Mark would make things difficult. Susan's mouth snapped shut. Sarah let out a low whistle. Wow. Mark turned to his mother, eyes narrowing. You did what? Susan stiffened. I was trying to make her understand. Understand what? Mark's voice rose. That you've been playing this game for years? That you did the same thing to Rachel? Richard shifted uncomfortably. Susan shot him a look, but it was too late. Mark's jaw twitched. Jesus Christ. And just like that, I saw it, the crack. The tiny shift in his loyalty to his parents. The moment he realized I hadn't been wrong. I had never been wrong. Mark turned back to me. For the first time, he actually looked unsure. I stared at him, waiting for something that mattered to come out of his mouth. But instead, he ran his hands through his hair. I can fix this. My stomach dropped. That was his first instinct, not an apology, not regret, just fixing the situation. I leaned back, exhaling slowly. You really don't get it, do you? Silence. I stood up, grabbed my bag. I'm not coming back, Mark. That snapped him out of it. Wait, what? I'm done. His eyes widened. You're serious? Sarah snorted. Dude, how have you not figured that out by now? Susan's voice rose. This is ridiculous. You're throwing away your marriage over a misunderstanding. I shook my head. No, Susan. You threw it away. You and Richard with your twisted way of treating people. Mark was just too weak to stop it. Mark reached for my arm, but I stepped back. Wait, let's talk about this. I held up my hand. No, Mark. You talk. You make excuses. You let them control you, but I'm done listening. I grabbed my phone and walked to the door. Mark's voice almost broke. Wait, where are you going? I turned back, staring at him one last time. I'm leaving. Susan scoffed. You can't just leave a marriage. I met her gaze, my face unreadable. Watch me. Then I walked out the door. It took 6 months to finalize the divorce. Mark tried everything, begging, blaming, even accusing me of overreacting. But I never looked back. Sarah stayed in touch. She told me things fell apart after I left. Apparently, Mark finally confronted his parents, and it wasn't pretty. Richard called him weak. Susan cried, saying I had brainwashed him. For the first time, Mark saw them for what they really were. But it didn't change anything for me. I was already gone. I moved back to Charleston for good. I found a new apartment, reconnected with old friends, and started over. One night, months later, I got a text from an unknown number. Mark, I see it now, I'm sorry. I stared at it for a long time, then deleted it, because for the first time in years, I was free.